it is Sunday, the 16th of August, and this is your weekly weather update for South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania. We're going through all 4 states because there's a few sort of troughs and fronts moving through, seeing rainfall that is widespread across the 4 states. So we'll unpick that all together. Starting off though, let's have a quick look at the weather warnings that we've got issued. So there's still this minor flood warning up in northern Victoria because of that quite intense rainfall last week. Now, I expect that flooding to reduce a little bit over the first few days, as Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday should be relatively dry up in that area. But then as the fronts start to move through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leading to this sort of long soaking rain, I think that there is definitely a chance that those flood warnings come back again, depending on how high the reservoirs are up there. There's also some coastal surf warning down in southern Sydney, as we've got some onshore flow coming into the region. Let's have a breakdown of the daily rainfall that's on the way. We're looking at daily accumulated rainfall. So this is Sunday. You can see this sort of mid-level system starting to develop over South Australia, just leading to light showers, but this is going to come across and meet with a sort of low pressure system with a front or trough attached to it and really intensify some of the rainfall that's on the way. So we've got that developing in South Australia, and then this onshore breeze, which is delivering rainfall to the coast of New South Wales. This will stick around for a few days as this high keeps continuing this onshore flow in the region. But for the rest of the states, it's relatively settled weather. It should be fairly nice and sunny across most of those regions if you're not under those sorts of little rain bursts. So similar story for Monday, that mid-level development in South Australia is moving across and intensifying. And then by Tuesday, we're really starting to see the setup of the pattern that's about to start. So eastern South Australia, western New South Wales, and this northwest bit of Victoria, they're getting 5 to 10 mils on that day. And you can see here, this is a little low pressure area. It has a front attached to it, but the Bureau analysts are saying that it weakens to a trough as it moves across, but it connects with this system. And so we're taking sort of this low pressure and then this tropical moisture, and they're coming together and they sort of stall over the area. So we're about to see that on Wednesday as it starts to sort of intensify a little bit. You can see this feed of moisture through. We're getting pockets of sort of, 10 to 15 mils, but in northwest Tasmania, 25 to 50 mils is possible. And so this is over sort of the south coast. We're starting to see that intensification, and we're continuing to get that onshore rainfall along the coast of New South Wales. Moving across to Thursday, this is really when it intensifies over all of the states, really. So we're getting consistently sort of this 15 to 25 mils, which is the yellow, across many regions in all of the states, and then 25 to 50 mils as possible in the same alpine areas that have been hit with that flooding last week. So this is what I'm saying is I do expect that there is likely a chance of flooding as we continue towards the end of this week. Southern New South Wales is also getting quite a bit of rainfall as well, but it's still remaining quite dry up here in the north, which I think is a signal that we saw last week in our seasonal forecast or update on how northern New South Wales is doing in terms of drought conditions at the moment. On Friday, it starts to move across a little bit, but there's still rainfall. It's mainly now in New South Wales and along the west coast of Tasmania. And also northern South Australia is getting another 5 to 10 mils there. And then Saturday, most of that system has moved across into the Tasman now, and it's starting to clear up for most of those states. West coast of Tassie still getting a bit of weather there. And then Sunday, South Australia, New South Wales, and Victoria all clear up as the high starts to settle in, and Tasmania is just getting sort of this onshore orographic flow again, which is why it's getting rainfall along the west coast. So that's the story of rainfall this week. So sort of to summarize, drier at the start, wetter as we go on. South Australia has both that like mid-level trough and the front coming towards it, whereas New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania are mainly getting it when those two systems connect. Let's chat about wind. So this is, I've just looked here, this is the Thursday 10 a.m. wind gusts. Just to sort of showcase That the winds part of this system will actually track back a little bit to Wednesday when the low starts to approach. The winds of these systems aren't as strong as last week's. So we're seeing gusts sort of 40 to 63 kilometers an hour for the most part. We're definitely getting these pockets of 63 to 90 kilometers, but for the most part, it's sort of the moderate to strong winds, not the strong to severe winds that I'm seeing. Although a lot of this wind is penetrating up through the mainland, so 20 to 30 kilometer per hour gusts, and those winds sort of stick around as we get these sort of systems moving across. But it should settle, as we said, as that high pressure moves in. So we'll go to Saturday. Yep, you can see that high pressure moving in and then settling the winds again. So that's what's happening with wind. And then let's talk about temperature. So midday temperatures, here we're looking at Thursday, let's go 1 p.m. just to show a little bit of a more T-max sort of signal, is, I think, fairly consistent with what we would expect this time of the year across the states. 15 to 20 degrees across sort of South Australia and New South Wales, 10 to 15 across a lot of Victoria and Tassie, and then still small pockets of 5 to 10. And if we have a look at the team min, I'm going to do the start of the week because this is when we still have a high pressure system sitting over us. We would expect some quite cool mornings because of that. We've got these pockets of 0 to 5 degrees across Victoria and Tasmania, but they are 0 to 5, so it's probably fog and not frost that's on the way, especially as well because the soils are quite moist. So definitely fog at the start of the week. As we move through, let's have a look on Thursday morning. We can see that it's actually relatively warm. So 5 to 10 degrees across most of these, or 10 to 15 degrees. Cool. So that's the story that we're seeing this week. Let's go to an overview look. So this is the Saturday to Sunday total rainfall potential. And we can see a lot of the weather this week is concentrated down in the southeast with these fronts that move in, stall, and deliver quite a bit of rainfall. We're seeing large areas that are going to get 25 to 50 mils. Most areas will receive, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 15. That's sort of the potential, with an absolute max in this northwest of probably reaching sort of like the 50 to 75 mil area. And then just in the northern New South Wales area, this is mainly to do with that onshore flow at the start of the week as the high pressure moves that wind that way. So that's what's happening this week. I don't think there's going to be many sheep graziers warnings because it's not super cold in the morning, but something to look out for as that wind, rain, and cool temperatures move across. But otherwise, it's mainly the rainfall and flooding that I would be concerned with this week as you're moving forward with planning. Okay, have a great week. Do stay safe. If you have any questions, reach out and let us know. Bye.